All right, what's up, everybody? We're back. It's semi-pro. We're semi-pro. And Daniel, do you remember the 90s?
No, I
Do you remember The Matrix?
was not even a twinkle in my father's nutsack when the 90s
You remember the
existed.
90s, though?
Again, no. I was born in 2001, so I don't.
Dan, I got
Not
this.
even.
I got this like bit planned here.
But I wasn't born. I didn't exist.
Yeah, but
I
do you-
wasn't even. I wasn't, dude. I wasn't even a single drop of rain yet. Okay, how could I remain?
But do you remember the 90s?
Yeah, you remember the Matrix?
Yeah. Oh, I do
You
remember the Matrix.
You remember Leather?
Do you remember
Leather?
Do you remember the time they made a Matrix Marvel movie?
Do you remember leather trench coats?
Do you remember the turtle in a trench coat?
Do you remember Postal, the video game made
Do
by
you-
indie game developers running with scissors?
Well, that's
They,
unsafe. They shouldn't do that.
Right, but they gave me this shirt and on my package.
They just gave
on
it to you?
time- Well, no, I purchased it, but on my package, they did give me like a couple weird stickers. I'm gonna try and cover up my my address so I can.
No, it's
yeah,
okay.
so I
Nobody can
show-
see it. Yeah.
Right, I'll show the note. Look, they said
Down a little.
love you
down,
too,
Down,
Dan.
down. Dan. Yeah, that's sweet. That's very sweet.
It's adorable. It's because I wrote in the notes section. I said I love you because I do. I love Postal 2, the only Postal game I've ever played. Postal 4 sucks apparently, but you can smoke crack in it by blowing into your controller. Anyways, the 90s.
How did this get mentioned in both times we've recorded this
Because
intro?
I really want to shout out Running with Scissors.
No,
They're
specifically
great-
the
they're
one
great.
about smoking crack by blowing
Oh
in
well,
your
that's
controller.
that's a new feature in Postal 4. They just recently added it. You can because the the microphone that's like built into the PS5 controller, it like responds to wind or something, so they like programmed it to activate your crack pipe in the game. So yeah, the 90s were an era
So we're watching
filled
Blade.
with the black trench coats. Apparently, the only outerwear that existed in the 1990s was black trench coats, or Chris Christopherson's black Western coat, which I have one of those. Mine's red, so it's cool. I'm better than Chris Christopherson. Rest in peace if he's dead. But
Is
he'll
he
come
dead?
back as a I don't know.
I feel like
Either way,
Chris
he's back as a
Christopherson.
single.
Chris Christopherson has to be dead, right?
If any of the Highwaymen are dead, other than Johnny Cash, who is dead,
He's been dead for like 25 years.
yeah, it's Chris Christopherson. I think.
Well,
I feel like
Pistofferson.
Right. Well, that's me. Willie Nelson, I know, is still alive.
Yes,
or
Willie's
at least
still
was.
Willie's still kicking. He's still willing.
Yeah. Waylon Jennings.
Lord Willin, the creek don't rise.
Right. What?
You've never heard that phrase, that saying? Lord Willin, Lord Willin, and the creek don't rise.
No, I can't say.
I think that's like an old Southern phrase that everybody takes to mean like, oh, the creek is rising, so it's flooded, so you can't get
Right.
where you're going. But what it actually
Right.
means
Is that
is
not what it means?
there's like a Native American tribe called the Creek. And so it's like, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise and attack you and murder
Right.
you.
So it's racist.
A little bit, I think. Yeah,
Cool.
probably shouldn't be saying it in the discussion.
Right. Maybe not, but I also talked about smoking crack, so I feel like anything goes.
Lord willing and the crack don't rise is what we should have said. We're off to a very bad start on this episode of
what
Semi
was the
Pro.
bit? The 90s?
The 90s. Do you remember the 90s?
Goth people. A lot of people think Tim Burton invented goth people. They're wrong. It was
Wesley
Blade,
Snipes did it.
1998.
Wesley Snipes
Yeah.
invented goth people.
Wesley sniped a man. He's
This
an
is
expert marksman.
It's going so very poorly.
Woo!
Ah.
I feel good.
No.
I
I'm
smell
Wesley
good.
Snipes.
I smell good.
This is
I
still
look
jumping a
good.
lot, but we're gonna leave
I
it. We're
feel
rocking with it.
good. And I make love good. You seen that that interview of James Brown? Is it James Brown is the one that sings that song we were singing, right?
Yes.
It's either him or Rick James. I always confuse them. But yeah, he was super high on cocaine, and he did some interview with some old lady on like a Today Show or something, and he said what I said.
That
but
feels like a
cool
Teddy
that he changed
Pendergrass
that.
quote. You know what I'm saying? Like, that feels like something Teddy would have said.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
You remember
Okay.
Teddy? You remember Teddy
I
Pendergrass?
do. I do.
How could you forget?
Of Doomy fame, of
Do me,
course.
do
Yeah.
me.
Love me some
Won't you
Teddy,
just do me?
bro. This is fucking
This
unhinged.
is,
Have we said anything about Blade yet?
we asked if you remembered the 90s. Back
So
in
do you
the
remember the 90s,
Well,
Dalton?
back in the 90s, I was in a very famous TV show.
Really? Are you the horse from Horsing Around?
Nah,
Oh.
I'm Bob Saget. so,
So
so Blade.
Blade the series,
So
starring Sticky Fingers from legendary rap group
from Horsing
Onyx, and
Around.
also Run DMC,
Horsing
maybe,
Around. He
and
was in
also
Horsing
Horsing
Around.
Around.
He was the horse
he
from
did
Horsing
the
Around.
right, right. He was Sarah Lynn. He overdosed on heroin in a
Yo, that
planetarium.
rhymed. That all rhymed. Is that the joke that they made in Horsing Around?
I mean, it's not a joke. That's how Sarah Lynn dies in the TV
Yeah,
show
but
BoJack
was it
Horseman.
supposed to be a rhyme? Sarah Lynn overdosed on heroin in a planetarium.
No, I don't think so. I think the joke they did was that the heroin is sometimes called horse,
Right.
and there was the whole like,
BoJack
horsing around
brand
BoJack,
of
and
BoJack.
that's what she overdosed on in the planetary horse.
I thought she overdosed on heroin.
Yeah, horse from horsing around.
Yeah, but heroin.
Bojangles.
Right. Sarah Lynn overdosed on heroin in a planetarium. That sounds like an Eminem bar if I've ever heard one.
Oh, you know Chris Christopherson?
I'm pissed off.
I'm actually pissed Christopherson.
All right, so the plot. Why don't you break down the plot of Bojangles
Ooh,
for us?
yeah, it is my... Okay, so Blade the
Wait,
series.
hold on, before you do this, I need to mention we are 7 minutes into this episode of the podcast.
Remember when we said we were only going to spend the first like 20 minutes talking about plot?
Well, no, it was
Yeah.
5 minutes intro, 20 minutes plot.
Okay, so we're not that far off.
Yeah, well, we're 3 minutes off and we've
Schedule
talked
estimates.
about
Hey,
nothing.
shut up! Shut up!
Shut up. I'm going to
Remember
overdose
Smosh?
on
Is
heroin
Smosh-
in the
is Smosh still
planetarium.
back?
I
Did you
don't
ever
know,
watch
dude.
any of I watched like 2 of their like they came back because they bought
Why?
Smash. Well, for a while, the guys Anthony and Ian, they didn't own Smosh. It was owned by
Right.
Good Mythical Morning.
I did not know that they owned it. I didn't know that the
Maybe it wasn't
mythical
Good
men.
I think it was Good Mythical Morning.
Fascinating.
They owned
Beautiful
Smosh.
morning, you're the sun in my morning.
Morning, babe.
No other help I know.
So Blade, 1998.
I just want to be liberated.
The
Sorry.
movie that invented goth people and thin mustaches, and also
And ice skating uphill.
and maybe also the Postal dude from Postal, the video game made by indie game developers running with scissors.
But definitely ice skating uphill.
For sure, 100% ice skating uphill.
Had to
as
be.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to do. It opens in 1967. Should have been 1969.
Hey now.
Sex. You're an all-star. Rest in peace, Smash Mouth. Lost a real one.
This episode of the podcast is going to be completely
Hold on.
unwatchable.
I gotta pour out a little bit of beer for someone. What's the name of the guy from Smash Mouth? Whatever. He's Smash Mouth. Rest in peace. Pulled out some beer for him. That's a lot of foam. Wow. Oh.
Is he dead? Is Smash Man dead?
Yeah, the main guy from Smash Mouth passed away. I think either last year or the year before. And more importantly, I spilled beer on my Postal Dude alien head T-shirt. So, we all got struggles, all right?
So Blade.
Opens in 1967. A pregnant woman, is admitted to the hospital with a bite on her neck. It shows her ID falls out, and it says whatever her first name is and the last name Brooks. I didn't catch that from the thing, but I looked up Blade's name, and it's Eric Cross Brooks. They call him Eric in this movie.
You're telling me his
I
middle
don't
name is
know.
Cross?
Yeah, or maybe that's just like he's got a second last name or something. I know in the comics,
But he's a
Blade is
vampire. Do you
British.
get it?
Right, I do get it. Did you know that
Vampires,
Blade is
crosses.
right? Did you know that Blade is British in the comics?
I did not. Wesley Snipes
Yeah.
is not British.
No, no, and they're not making him British in the MCU because it's Mahershala Ali.
Unless he does a British accent. He can do a British accent.
Well, no, but they had him at the end, like they had his voice at the end of Eternals. I don't know if you saw that; it sucked ass. But there was a Blade voice cameo at the end of Eternals,
I did
and
see
it was
Eternals. I
just
don't remember that. What I remember from
yeah.
Eternals.
Well, it was just his voice. Like you couldn't, you only know it's him because the director was like, "Oh yeah, that was Mahershala Ali." He played.
I remember a man
Copperhead
trying
in
to
Luke Cage.
ice skate uphill.
Yeah, that was Mahershala Ali. He played
Mm.
Copperhead in Luke Cage,
And he's
which
British.
is now back to being canon in the MCU.
And he's British.
And he's sometimes British. He's a part of the UK Avengers. I don't know if it's actually called that. Maybe they have their own name.
Probably called the Avengers.
Right, or maybe they're called
Because,
the
America
Avengers.
starts with an A and UK
Right,
starts
but
with
maybe
a
they're
U.
called the Avengers like the British movie, The Avengers, with Sean
Avengers.
Connery.
We're called the
Right.
Avengers.
But like the British movie, The Avengers, with Sean Connery.
Could be. Could
Or
be.
maybe it's not Sean Connery in that. Maybe I'm
That's
thinking of
based
League
on
of
a.
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
You are.
Who knows?
That's based on a TV show from the 70s?
Yes, the A Team.
The UK team.
So yeah, Blade was mother was bitten.
His
when
middle name is
pregnant,
Cross.
His middle name is Cross. He is born of half vampire, human. They call him the Daywalker because he can walk in the day. Vampires
Really?
get burned. Vampires get burned by sunlight unless
No, they
they
don't.
have just normal sunscreen.
Just
on, in
normal
which case
sunscreen
they-
and a motorcycle helmet. Don't forget.
Well, or sometimes just normal sunscreen,
Right.
but then it starts to melt after a little bit, so they have to throw a little girl.
But that's
into
only if you're
traffic.
holding a small Japanese girl, in which
Correct,
case
correct.
the sunscreen won't melt.
Right.
But if you let go of her, then it begins to melt.
Then your mascara starts to run.
Yeah, and then you start trying to
Man,
ice skate uphill.
My chair is just like drenched in beer. This is fucked.
This might go down in history as the worst episode of this podcast.
This might go down just like Bloody Mary.
You'll go down just like Bloody Mary. Mary on I, Christ. Get it? Mary on a cross. Catholicism,
Oh, Eric Cross
vampires,
Brooks.
Blade. Go.
Yes. Chris Christopherson is Pistofferson. I can't remember what actually happens after the opening scene. Is okay? No, it's straight to the club scene. So it's
That is the opening
my God,
scene.
gotta wait. Okay, so there's a guy, shaky cam, time lapse of New York City, or maybe it's L.A. I don't know.
Detroit.
A city's a city. Is it Detroit?
I think it's
I
Detroit.
know that's what it was in the Blade the series we skimmed through, but
I think it's
I don't know.
Detroit.
Who cares? It's a
Sticky
city.
Fingers, also not British.
Sticky Fingers of Run DMC and Onyx fame. So yeah, there's a guy, non-vampire man in a car with a vampire woman driving to meat factory / blood goth club.
Rave. Yeah. And also,
Rave, and then
his fingers are not sticky.
No, not yet. At least
They will
they'll
get sticky. Is blood
along
sticky?
with his entire.
No,
assume
because there's no
so.
sugar in it.
I don't think sugar's the only thing that's sticky.
I'm going to Google it.
I think blood is sticky, at least because it's like kind of. It's because it's kind of viscous, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like a
but
little-
viscous doesn't imply sticky.
No, but I think viscous, once it like starts to dry, it will become sticky. Blood is definitely sticky at some, maybe not immediately, but
Is blood sticky?
is Sticky Fingers actually sticky? Oh, the Sticky Bandits from Home Alone 2.
Well, it's the wet
Joe
bandits,
Pesci,
right?
No, it's the Wet Bandits in Home Alone 1, then they become the Sticky Bandits in Home Alone 2. I much prefer Home Alone 2 Lost in New York.
Same,
Significantly
actually.
better. Yeah, it's got that dope-ass pigeon lady. Coolest character ever. And also Donald Trump makes a cameo, as he did in numerous movies in the 90s, because
So blood becomes
sourdough.
sticky as it dries,
See,
but
that's what I was thinking,
otherwise is
yeah.
slippery like wet soap.
Right. Just like cum. Anyways,
Back to
they
Blade.
go to the club. Non-vampire dude is trying to dance, get his freak on with vampire chick. She ditches him to dance with a woman with just god awful hair,
She just
horrible,
wants to dance with
horrible 90s.
somebody. Wants to
Right,
feel the heat with
right.
somebody.
But this girl she chooses to dance with has horrible hair. It's like Trinity from the Matrix, Blade Trinity.
Well, she wasn't
Um,
necessarily the right person to feel the heat with, I guess.
Okay, shut up. It's like the Trinity from the Matrix hair, where it's like the slicked back, like short '90s style, but it's blonde, and it also looks like just like salty and matted and gross. Just god awful hairstyle. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah, no,
So
it's
this late
bad. You
this
should do your hair
va-
that way.
I won't, but thanks. So these two vampire ladies are dancing. Deacon
Feeling the
Frost later.
heat.
Shut up! The man who tries to ice skate uphill bumps into this guy, knocks him to the
Right.
ground. Then all the vampires just start like kicking him,
Well, some
and
people
then
are always trying to ice skate uphill.
okay. Well, first it starts raining blood from the sprinklers because it's a bloodbath in this weird goth vampire club,
It
and
says
then
right as it cuts to the DJ, and then the lights cut on behind him, and he spreads his arms, and it just says "bloodbath" written in
yeah,
blood on a bed sheet,
it's
and then the sprinklers
it's
cut on,
sick.
and blood starts coming out of them.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then he like crawls through his blood. He's like getting kicked and stomped by vampires.
Well, they're about to eat him. They surround him, about to eat
Yeah,
this man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he like crawls up to a pair of black boots and black pants and black trench coat. And look at that, it's Blade, Eric Cross Brooks, Eric
Who
Draven, the
says?
Crow.
Do you remember what he says?
No,
He had a
some
one-liner here. It
motherfucker's
was a
always
good.
trying to ice.
Nah,
It up
it
now?
was a good one-liner. Do you remember it?
I don't remember this.
Yeah, I
one
don't
liner.
either.
What was it? Okay. But it
Keep
says
going. We got
something
10 minutes left
cool.
on the plot breakdown.
That can't be right. So Blade then kills everyone basically in
Except for
very
one
cool
guy.
fashion. Yes, except for one guy, but we'll get to that. He kills basically everyone. A lot of Sam Raimi Spider-Man skeletons.
Oh yes.
Not great CGI, but I like it because it reminds me of that one scene from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man where Green Goblin has that one bomb that just turns people to skeletons.
Turns him to
Awesome.
skeleton goop. Dust? Skeleton
Right.
dust.
Skeleton. It's more. Yeah, it's like glowing skeleton dust.
Goop
Yeah.
dust. Dust goop. Same thing.
Gust. A gust of wind. A single drop of rain, as it were.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay. So yeah, that happens.
Turns into a single drop of rain.
The dude
Abides.
the postal dude.
Oh.
Because he's got red hair, and also the dude, the Jeff Lebowski. What's his name? Jeff Bridges. He's there. Gets two stakes to the shoulder, then set on fire. Then Blade just leaves this random human to try and explain all this shit to the cops, and
Two
that
stakes
guy
to the shoulder, one
definitely
stake
got
to the heart.
arrested. No, I think a stake to the heart would have killed him and turned him to dust.
Right.
does
He
light
gets
him
lit on fire.
He lights him on fire, and so they take this charred cadaver to the hospital where we meet.
And presumably arrest the man who just showed up at a party.
I mean, I have to assume that guy got arrested. Yeah, I mean, he's covered in blood, and he's the only survivor, and there's a man on fire behind him.
There's
Surely
nothing but
he was
piles of
arrested.
skeleton dust around him. There's
And a
blood
man on
everywhere,
fire.
and a man
And a
on
man
fire
on
right
fire.
next to him.
Yeah. So yeah, surely that guy was arrested and his life was ruined. But then we go to the hospital. We meet Kurt Cobain's and blood doctor MacGuffin lady. Karen is her name.
Right, Karen.
I only learned that at the very end when
When they
some
finally said
limited-
her name.
Right, yeah, zombie Kurt says her name. And then so yeah, she gets bitten after Kurt Cobain's got bitten, but first there's some dialogue exposition about how they're working on some MacGuffin blood cure for hemoglobin anemia, some fucking blood disease, I don't know. Um, then yeah, bitten Blade shows up because charred vampires just charring it up, char style. Um, I guess he doesn't kill him there. Obviously, 'cause he's still in the movie. He just like kicks his ass or something. Then,
He cuts off.
oh yeah,
He
then the
cuts off his
cops.
hand.
Yeah, he cuts off his hand a couple times. Then
Well,
the
once
cops
there.
shoot at right. But I'm saying throughout the movie, yeah. But then the cops shoot at him, and he says, "You motherfuckers serious?" or something
Yeah,
to that
it was a
effect.
good. It was a good one. Yeah.
That's the first of the motherfuckers.
And
When
then the
Wesley
best scene
Snipes
in the
says
movie,
it.
he picks
Oh, yeah.
up Karen
He
and
picks up
chucks her out a
Karen
window.
and just like, yeah, no, we're watching. I'm like, oh, cool, he's gonna do a big vampire jump and just jump across this ledge, which he does. But first, he throws this
I mean,
woman,
chucks this woman.
just hurls her
Absolutely
fucking out the
chucked
window.
out the window.
Yeah, and she doesn't, like you assume, die.
Die. She should be dead.
She instead just dislocates her shoulder. Blade does a cool big vampire jump, pops her shoulder back into a place. These cops have super high caliber rounds.
Oh man, it's a Fortnite reference.
Yeah.
They got a gold scar, bro.
Yeah, they got the gold scar for sure.
What was it? They got pay dirt.
Right, they got the pay dirt. But we'll get to that. So then I guess he takes Karen MacGuffin to.
Will we get to that? Will we get to pay dirt?
No, I don't know. It's said at some.
I
point in
hope
this
we're
movie.
not. I hope we don't get to pay dirt, dog.
Yeah. So he takes her to his bat cave, his Blade cave, where we meet
His Blade.
Pissed Offerson, or Chris Kringle, or a single drop of rain, or a highwayman again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
For those of you who don't understand,
Chris Christopherson is a member of the country singing group The Highwaymen, along with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Willie Nelson. He's possibly alive, or possibly a single drop of rain. We don't know.
well,
But-
and in that song, the Highwayman,
Yes,
the Highwaymen,
the
performed.
Highwaymen by the Highwaymen.
There's a line in that song that we don't even know if Chris Christopherson sings.
No, I have no idea. It's one of the Highwaymen though.
One of the Highwaymen goes, when I'm dead and reincarnated, I may even be a single drop of rain, or I may be a highwayman again, but I will remain, and I'll be back again and again and again and again. So throughout the entirety of this movie, we just kept referencing this, and we just kept saying,
Basically, we just decided to call him a single drop of rain, and also Chris Kringle because he's an old man with white hair and a white beard. like
I
Santa
assumed
Claus.
it was just because his name is
And,
Chris.
and also his name. Yeah, it's there's a lot of factors.
Well, I
right?
mean, he
I got
Christophed.
layers. I got layers like an onion.
We should have
Chris
called him
Christopherson.
Biscoff Cookie.
No,
Should have called him Cookie.
should have called him Cookie Monster.
Should have just called him Cookie. Should have called him Airplane Cookie. I've only ever had Biscoff on an airplane.
Yeah, that's facts actually. Yeah.
Never had a Biscoff in real life.
Yeah, you ever had a bisque on?
You ever had a Chris on or something?
You ever had a crisscross?
You ever had
Remember
applesauce?
crisscross? They wore their clothes backwards.
That's
crisscross?
also a type of applesauce.
Yeah, but they wore their clothes backwards.
Yeah, Chris on.
And they were in.
We got to get back to this. We were supposed to wrap up.
Was crisscross the ones that were in House Party?
I don't know.
so,
We're supposed to
yeah.
be wrapping up the plot breakdown in 30
Shut
seconds.
up, man! Shut up, man! So they meet Chris Christopherson. He's got
Chris
a, he's
on
got a-
her son drop a
Shut up,
single
Tom.
rain.
Yeah, like you're telling me to do the plot breakdown, then you just keep saying shit like that. So he's got a bum leg.
Is
and
this
also
why Josh
cancer.
left?
Yes, this is why Josh killed himself. So he's got a bum leg,
But he's also
and-
Rain. but only one drop of it. No more, no less. Only one single drop of rain.
So Chris Christopherson injects Karen MacGuffin with garlic concentrate
Extract?
juice, garlic extract juice. It's like the serum the Blade takes that substitutes for blood.
It's the blerum.
Yeah. The MacGuffin serum shoots it into her, gives her a 50-50 chance of not turning into a vampire. Next day, he says, get a gun, and if you feel like you're turning into a vampire, kill yourself. Then Blade takes her home. A cop who is like a vampire sex slave called Familiar.
Something like that. They're humans who want to be turned.
Yeah, but they're the vampires bitches that just like do shit for the vampires during the day when vampires can't be vamping it up.
Right. With
so
the promise that they'll get turned at some point.
Yeah.
Type
So then
beat.
Blade shows up, after he tries to get Karen MacGuffin, he destroys her apartment in the process of kicking his ass.
Yeah.
Then something happens. Oh yeah, they take him outside. He just publicly assaults this cop and then pulls his gun on him and almost fires it into a crowd of people. The cop runs away. They stake out his car, wait for him to return, then follow him to another vampire club. This one has J-pop girls singing because this was the 90s. J-pop was still cool.
Forgot
Missed the
about
90s.
J-pop, actually.
Yeah, I never forget about J-pop. That's my 9/11, bro.
Wow.
Never forget, you know? It's like the Alamo. But yeah, so they go there. I think this is when I mean, it's more dope Blade violence. Maybe this is when we find the vampire Bible. There's like a room.
Is this when we met the really fat vampire?
Yeah, this is when we meet
Yeah.
Big Fat.
That's his name, actually.
I think it's Pearl, actually, which seems like a woman's name, and also he looks and talks like a woman, but Blade calls him a him.
It's DJ Khaled, and he's saying, "Bring out the blood."
Right, just tell him to bring out the blood.
I call her
Don't bring out the
Chandelier because I'm a fat vampire.
Yeah. So yeah, they've got this UV light that like burns vampires.
It's like a
and
sun flashlight, basically.
It's a big sun
Karen
flashlight.
gets
they burn.
bloodlust and murders a man.
Yeah, she goes crazy and just cooks this fatso.
Blade says
Blade
if he moves,
Blade calls him Biscuit Boy. That was the bar.
That's
He
right.
calls him Biscuit Boy.
well,
That was
Blade
hilarious.
says like, "Oh, if he moves, blast him."
Yeah.
And then she just
And
blasts him, and he's so
massively
fat he can't move.
He physically cannot move. There's no way he was moving. This woman just wanted to cook this fatso, which I get. I like respect.
I guess
Kind of.
seems a little fat phobic,
But yeah, so this is fat people are gross.
especially this guy.
I'm
guy,
proudly fat phobic.
this guy was for sure gross.
He was
I've
this
never
wasn't-
seen someone
this
as
wasn't a fat
disgusting as
person.
this man.
This was a disgusting fat person. There's a difference.
This wasn't even a person; it was a vampire.
No, it was a vampiro.
But anyway, then they find the vampire
a hummus
Bible.
Knock something.
They find the vampire Bible.
Bible, and also there's the 90s hard drive disc thing.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just a hard
that has
drive. But Blade and
it's
Karen
got
escape
it's got
on the
blood
train.
god plans. Yeah, there's a little fight. They fight in the vampire Bible room,
And they keep
which
just
is-
shattering pieces of the Bible.
It's a room full of like these super giant old pages from the vampire Bible, as they call it. They call it some other name. I can't remember it. I don't care. It's the vampire Bible. That's also
Blade
what they call
also
it.
calls it the vampire Bible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny. So yeah, they're just destroying their holy vampire Bible. Which I guess maybe they have it backed up on the computer because Ice Skating Uphill was like translating it or whatever.
Oh,
in that
maybe,
scene.
maybe.
Oh yeah, we
Blade
also
takes a
set up.
piece of
We
it.
set up at some point. We set up the vampire council. They're all like old heads, except for the guy who
Right.
ice skates uphill. Uh,
Who
One of
is
them has a
not an
really
old
cool
head,
beard.
but was
Yeah, he's not an
turned.
old head. Yeah, yeah. By old heads, we mean pure blood vampires.
That is what we
Naturally.
mean. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, yes, that is what we mean.
Well, because they're older vampires. It makes sense. And don't think
Except for
about it. Shut up.
Dreads. Except for Dreads guy.
Wait, that's never once established. You're just saying that.
I mean, he is.
I
He was not turned. He was a pureblood, but he's not older than young blood.
well, we don't know. They say vampires age differently.
Ain't got a whole lot of new money.
right. Because I mean, it establishes later that ice skating uphill was the one who, because he looks the same age as Blade, but then he also bit his mom and is basically Blade's dad. Or
Right.
something. Whatever.
Well, not necessarily his dad. He's his vampire dad.
Well, he's the
His
vamp-
vampad.
he's the father of the vampire part of him. He does still have a real dad that impregnated his mother, though. Yeah.
Maybe.
I. What are you? What are you implying? That it was divine.
No, I'm just saying he
Insemination, what's
might
the
have
word?
he might have left.
But he still has a father.
Well, we never meet him.
I'm not saying he has a father present. Clearly, he had no paternal parent.
Well, no,
figures
he had
present.
Chris
He was-
Christopherson.
Well, yes, okay, but I'm saying
He had
no
Piss
biological
Christopherson.
paternal
He had
figures,
Kris
'cause
Kringle.
He was killing and eating homeless people in the streets.
Well, that's
okay?
true.
I'm not,
But he was raised by a
I'm
single
saying
drop of rain.
he had a biological father that impregnated his mother, and then also a vampire father that gave birth to the vampire part of him.
He was raised
That's
by a
why he-
single drop of milk.
Single drop of blood, CGI blood at that.
I'm sorry.
This is the worst. Where
This
are we?
is the worst episode of the pod. We're getting close to the end. They go back to the
No,
lair.
we're not. We're not even close.
No,
to
no,
the
no,
end.
we are. They go back to the lair. Chris Christopherson's there, and Karen's like,
Okay,
"Oh, I
this is
figured
when
out how to
we-
cure the
yeah,
thing."
Yeah, we start to set up the vampire cure because she's a blood doctor. She's like, oh, vampirism. It's just like hyperglycemic anemia.
It's just like blood
if you have a
cancer."
blood disease. You're right. Cancer. That's what Chris Christopherson has. And he also, Chris Christopherson smokes a cigarette after pumping or while pumping gas and pouring gasoline all over his
Yes,
hands.
that is true,
And
yeah.
car and everything. It's awesome. He's so cool and
But no, so
badass.
she makes this like blood cure, whatever, and then
Yeah. Well, she's like, yeah, this will definitely work to cure me. But I don't know if it'll cure Blade.
well,
'cause
she
he
says
was-
not
he
only does she not
was-
know if it's gonna cure him, she says if it does, he'll no longer be a vampire.
Right, right. Yeah, he won't have his super strong vampire abilities.
He won't be able to ice skate uphill, only down.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, so after that, Blade goes out to do something, and I can't remember exactly what he was doing. But while he's out blading, Chris,
I think he was going to get more serum, maybe.
maybe, yeah, that's what it was.
Or no, that was the scene. We skipped over the first sunscreen scene, which is ice
That's-
skating
okay,
uphill.
yes.
Who we should say his actual name at some point. It's Deacon Frost. It's really stupid
Which
and
is
douchey.
stupider
And
than
his
ice
face-
skating uphill.
Yeah, his face. I mean, his face looks like a Deacon Frost. It's just.
You
it's
remember
real
what was
douchey.
the
He's
the
the
guy
postal
from
dude.
Shameless?
postal dude
that
abides.
the oldest sister dated in those first few seasons.
Oh, the guy who played Goku in the Dragon Ball Z
Yes.
movie, and he slides across the car on his hair.
He's got
yeah, I
that
don't know
like,
his name,
horrible,
but yeah, absolutely.
horrible, just douchey looking face.
That real douchey, fuck him.
But anyway, it looks like that guy.
But he really sells the name Deacon Frost for
Right.
sure.
And he wears sunscreen to keep him from the
He wears
sun,
sun-
and then he
him
does
and
it
all
again
his-
while holding a little Asian
Yeah,
girl.
well, him and all his I guess new blood goons.
His cronies.
uh,
We could just call them
right.
cronies. Call them what they
Yeah,
are.
they're cronies, but they're presumed to also be like turned vampires, not
I guess,
whatever.
bruh.
Yeah, so that they take the leader Dragonetti, the leader of the vampire council.
Something like that. Like he is the head of the council.
Yeah, so they take
He's the
him-
dragon's head, as it were,
Right. He's Italian and also Transylvanian.
and also Asian.
No, that's the other guy who's maybe
Well,
Mongolian,
no,
but
but
he's got an
he
Asian
speaks
beard.
in like a slight Asian
Yeah,
accent.
his accent is all the accents of all the vampires are all over the place. Real inconsistent. Goes from Asian to Italian to like Swedish in one line.
Yeah.
But but yeah, they take him to like a rocky beach, and they've all got sunscreen and also like
Blank
motorcycle gear
helmets. It's
on.
so stupid.
It's so dumb, but it's also one of the coolest effects in the movie
It's
when
probably the
he busts.
best.
Yeah, and also simultaneously the worst.
It's
Well, not the
definitely not the
worst.
worst, but
No,
yeah.
no, it's definitely not the worst. Not even close.
There's
But
part of it where it's not very good, for
it
sure.
does go from real good to real bad very quickly, and
Right.
then kind of back to good for a bit.
Yeah.
And then
Like
just
most of the like
straight
most of this
explosion.
movie. I was gonna say the
Yeah,
effects, but
yeah,
just
honestly. Just the whole movie though, yeah. So yeah, he rips his teeth out, then they turn him to dust, and yeah, they show his teeth to the vampire council. They're like, "Ah, we killed your head. We're taking over this shit, man. My name's Deacon Frost. I'm a fucking douchebag." Then
and then he says, "We're going to resurrect the
Blades.
blood god."
Yes, the blood god. That's the plot of this movie. They need the blood of a daywalker. We think maybe
Blood?
Deacon ice skating uphill. He planned this when he bit Blade's
But
mom
then
to
they
create
seem
the
to
day.
imply that they don't because he says
We don't.
something. He
It's
says something like, "I could have never expected her to survive long
right.
enough." So probably not. That was just like in my. It was my
Yeah,
head
but
canon
it would have been cool had
for
that been
sure.
had his plan actually been planned out and not just, oh,
Right.
I'm gonna resurrect the blood god, and also I'm gonna be the blood god, and these skeleton bats are gonna crawl out of their mouth and fucking fly around like idiots. Uh, so yeah, then we go to okay, yeah. So Blade goes back to the hideout. Chris Christopherson is bleeding out, bordering on dead, and also has been turned into a vampire, or on the verge of whatever. Blade can't kill him because he's like his surrogate dad, so he gives him the gun, lets him shoot himself. Spoiler alert: he survives. He's in the next two movies. And also he comes back as a single drop of rain.
I
But
was
yeah, then
waiting on it, but
Blade goes sicko mode, gets decked out, plays a tape showing that they kidnapped his MacGuffin girl. They're at some like storage facility, something I don't know. The Palace of Eternal Night. And then his mom is revealed to be alive, and
and not a single
uh,
drop of rain.
no, she's actually Deacon Frost's
Mother?
concubine, something. She's in a weird coffin bed.
Right. It's really strange. She's turned people. She's eaten people. It's a whole thing.
There's a MacBook. It's all over the
There
place.
is a MacBook that's controlling the coffin that she is eternally
Yeah.
dead in.
Well, she's not dead. She was
Well,
taking
she
a
is.
nap.
She's a
It's
vampire.
well, okay, well, undead or whatever. But yeah,
She's
it's
dead.
a vampire sleep in coffins reference to the bed is like a whatever. It's cool. So then revealed to that his mom is alive. Then they just tase the shit out of him and take his shirt off and put him in this perfectly body shaped cast thing to milk him of his blood.
Because
They
that's
milk
the
him like
prophecy.
Seth
The
Rogen's
prophecy.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The prophecy states that like
The blood of the Daywalker
right.
will summon, it will kill the vampires and bring back the blood god.
Single
Whatever.
drop of rain tells Blade
A
that
single
he
drop of blood
single drop
is
of rain tells Blood
CGI.
that he's the chosen one.
Yeah.
So, because he's the chosen one, the cast fit.
Right. Wesley Snipes doesn't have a beer gut, but his flight suit combined with vest makes it look like he does.
It really does.
Uh,
Throughout this whole movie, I'm like, man, what a paunch. And then he takes off his shirt, and I'm like, wow,
he's
you're in
just
very
he's
good
joined.
shape.
Yeah.
Maybe he worked out like 3 months just for that scene.
Maybe, yeah. But anyways, really weird scene where his mom like tries to kiss him, super gross and Freudian. Then he gets milked, and then
Yes, he does. Not by his mother.
no, he gets milked by like stakes that go into his wrists and just drain his blood. Then Karen MacGuffin gets thrown into a hole with Kurt Cobangs. His name is Curtis, and he has bangs. He was her ex-boyfriend that then gets turned into like a zombie vampire. There was some explanation for why he was like that. It was like, I don't know, I don't care, but he was like an especially gross type of vampire that she then kills or at least escapes from, and takes a bone that we will learn, I guess, has the ability to kill vampires, but she just
Somehow,
uses
it doesn't make any sense,
it
but
does. Who cares? It's really cool. It's like a spiky bone. She uses it to climb out of this hole, Mission Impossible style. It's dope. Then she lets Blade suck her. Uh,
whoa.
Again, really
Well,
weird
she
and
not even
sexual.
lets,
She
asks.
insists. She insists.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, no, I won't. She's like, no, you got to do it. It's the
Blade
only
said, "I
way.
will never suck you. I will never suck you
I will never suck you, motherfucker. That's what he says, actually.
because you
But
only
then he
ice
does.
skate downhill.
But then he does. He sucks her. Then
Now you're
he
going
kills.
uphill."
He kills his mom with this stake. He's got a banger
It's a
line. He says,
bone.
I must release you." Yeah, the bone stake. He says, "I must release you." Kills his mom, just like Alexander Skarsgård in The Northman. That movie stole its plot from this movie. I'll die on that hill.
Is that really the
Uh,
hill you're going to die on?
yeah, for sure.
You can
for
only
sure.
die
I'm
on one
dying
hill,
a
you
lot of.
know.
I'm dying on a lot of hills. I don't know what
Well,
you're
but
saying,
there's
bro.
only one hill in which you can legitimately die on.
You say that, bro, but what if it's like a bunch of really small? What if it's a bunch of ant hills?
I guess you could die
I'm
on
a big
several
man.
ant hills.
I'm a big man. I'm at least like 40 ant hills.
I mean, are they the tiny little ant hills or the big ant hills?
Either way, like I mean, talking like full spread eagle. That's a
Yeah,
good
but the
40
big
anthill.
ant hills, dude, that's it. You could maybe get 6.
Nah, man, 40 minimum. But I digress. He kills his mom. Sucks Karen. No, that was after he sucked Karen. Then oh yeah, he's shirtless. He grabs his vest, throws it on, doesn't zip it up, jumps off, does a flip. When he lands, his vest is zipped up. So stupid and awesome. The dude Lebowski, Postal dude, has his
Post-Lebowsk,
sunglasses.
dude.
Post Lebowski dude has his sunglasses, runs at him. He uses like a silver wire thing to slice his head off and then catch the sunglasses
Right,
midair. It's
right.
so cool, so stupid, but I
Forgot
fucking
about
love
that.
it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we both thought that's when he was going to say the ice skating line, but they saved it. They saved it for the money shot.
They didn't save it. Wesley Snipes just hadn't invented that line in his mind
I guess
yet.
he improvised that.
Yeah. How do you
But,
improvise
so then
that?
there's I mean, how do you think of that? Why? Why do you think of that? What is going through your mind?
But also
to
not
think of that?
like thinking of that while you're sitting behind a computer typing up lines for a movie and trying to think of cool
Right.
action one-liners is one thing. Having it pop into your mind on set while you're filming the movie is a completely different ball game.
Right. But it happened. Well, that just happened.
And the movie's
So,
over.
Basically, but first, he's I guess like supercharged because he drank human blood.
Right. We're not
for the
sure if it's
first-
like, oh, he killed his mother or
I think the idea is that because he basically the only time he ever actually drank blood was when he was like a 13-year-old kid drinking homeless people before Chris Christopherson's Single Drop of Rain saved him.
Chris
Kringle,
pissed off.
So now he's like they established that he had built up a tolerance to the serum, and he's also like it's like the serum is less than human blood. So when he drinks the human blood, it like activates his full vampire powers, so he can just go sicko mode and just like punch
Vampowers.
through. His vampowers, he can just punch through vampires. Except for the blood god, Deacon Frost, the motherfucker who's always trying to ice skate uphill. So there's a cool little sword fight between them. Blade slices his hand off. It turns to dust.
Yeah, his
Slices him in
hand flies
half.
off. Turns to
Then
dust.
he
Yeah.
slices him in half, right at the hip. his top torso goes flying, but then horrible CGI blood
Oh, it's the
connects them
worst.
back. It's so
It's
bad.
the worst
There's a
CGI I've
lot
ever
of real
seen.
bad CGI blood. We thought the worst one was gonna be the the drops of blood falling from
The
the
drops of
ceiling. We were
rain.
wrong. We were wrong. It
There
was
was only
this
one of
scene.
them.
Yeah, it was this scene where his blood pulls his torso and legs back together, and also his blood just forms a new hand.
It was like they
Uh,
hadn't quite figured liquid yet.
oh,
They hadn't figured out liquid.
did we establish the blob goop serum? Because we established his blade serum. Um,
No.
so there was some I don't remember what they said it was in the movie. It was something that was used to treat like hypoglycemic anemia, whatever the thing that they compared vampirism in this movie to, but it didn't work to cure vampire. It just it may if you were a vampire, it made you explode.
Right.
So Blade's got that. He like exploded one person with it earlier, but then
But
Deacon or
in Blade
Dude
the series, he
Lebowski,
uses it.
yeah, or at
But
least
we'll get
something that
there.
looks
We're
similar.
not
It's a
there
blue
yet.
serum. It's Slurp juice from Fortnite. So he hits the chug jug, or no, the serum things are like wedged in a rock. He throws his sword. His sword also, if you grab it and don't press the button, it shoots out little spikes into your hand, which is really cool. So he throws his sword into the rocks. Obviously, can't press the button, so the spikes press out, knocking the exploding serum down. He chucks it at Deacon Ice Skates.
This is when he says it.
Yeah, we're getting there. And then so he throws a bunch of them. The last one he throws straight up in the air and does like a roundhouse spin kick.
Well,
He kicks it
he
straight
says the
into his
line
head.
before the roundhouse kick.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
knocks all the other one into him, and then he says
Right, and then he
it.
says, "Some motherfucker's always trying to ice skate uphill." Then he throws it up in the air, spins, kicks it in his head. He turns into a. First, it's kind of cool effects. Then it's just horrible CGI nonsense.
Oh, it's yeah. Well,
Um,
it's pretty good until the like very end
Basically
explosion.
until he just explodes. Yeah. But then that's it. That's the end. Him and Karen MacGuffin go up to the roof, and in a deleted scene, they see Morbius from Morbin Time from Jared Leto
True.
from Morbus. Matt Smith does a dance in that movie.
It's true. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And then the movie's over. And then
That's
it cuts
the
to
movie.
credits.
Yeah. Oh, then well, no, we see him in Moscow,
Right.
which is, I guess, setting up
The TV
second
series.
movie and also the TV series. But more importantly, the second movie where he finds Chris Christopherson, who's pissed Offerson.
Right. And also a single drop of rain.
Yeah, or maybe a highwayman again.
And again and again and
Or
again.
maybe he's flying a starship across the universe divide,
Or
and when he reaches the other side,
Or he's a dam builder.
right, he slipped and fell into the wet concrete below.
Right. Or he's
Uh,
a highwayman.
well, hold on. What was the other one?
I was a highwayman. I'm gonna Google the
It's
lyrics.
something. It's a boat one, but I don't remember what the exact phrasing is.
There's a movie called The Highwayman,
Cool.
which is not what we're speaking of. I was a sailor. I
Yeah,
was
sailor.
born-
That's the term. That's the term for a man who works on a boat.
He was born upon the tide.
Right.
With the sea, he did
With the sea,
abide.
he did abide. Yeah.
I will fly a starship across the universe
universe
divide,
divide.
and when I reach the other side, I'll find a place to rest my spirit if I can. Perhaps I may become a highwayman again. Or perhaps I will even.
Okay,
I
so
may
the
simply be a single drop of rain.
So I think the flying the starship is more metaphorical, while the highwayman and single drop of rain are literal. Maybe.
But why? Then why would he say or I may become, but
Well,
he
'cause he
says
says
I will
he says I
definitively
fly.
fly a starship.
Yeah, well, I think the starship is like metaphorical for like reincarnation, death, like he's flying the starship between death and new life reincarnation as either a highwayman or a single drop of rain. But either way, he will remain. And he'll be back again and again and again and again and
What a
again
weird
and
song
again.
for all of these
So
elderly
good
country
though.
singers to be singing.
It's so good though. Such a
It's
banger.
a banger for sure.
I fucking love
All
that
right,
song.
so here's the question: do you
Yeah.
think Blade is a fun film to watch?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
100%. This movie is fucking awesome. It's a little slow at times, a little
There's
uncomfortable at times, but
I don't know that
overall
there's a
it's just
ton of uncomfortable outside of the
there
mom stuff.
well the mom stuff, and there was just that weird like a bunch of like weird close up like just like
Oh,
kissing
there's
sexual
definitely yeah,
scenes.
and even from a like a cinematography standpoint, there's a lot of scenes I
Yeah.
didn't care for,
Right.
but the stuff that's good is so
It's
good.
so good and it's so fun. Even when it's not good, it's fun and
There's no
it's awesome.
non-fun moment.
Right. This movie is
There are a few
awesome.
non-fun moments,
Sure,
but
sure,
for the
yeah.
most part, you're
But
gonna walk away
overall,
having a good time. Maybe
yeah.
as good of a time as you'll have watching Blade the series. I don't know. I've never seen Blade the series.
Maybe. That's not
Um,
true. We skimmed through the first episode. It has sticky fingers of Onyx and maybe also Run DMC fame. I don't know.
right. But yeah, so there's like there's the obvious good stuff, which is the action, Wesley Snipes one-liners, like all of that stuff is
Yeah, yeah.
obviously good and awesome. And
At this point, Wesley Snipes still cared enough to keep his eyes open while filming.
right,
It's
right.
just the perfect mix. Yeah.
But
He
there's
doesn't.
like
He doesn't yet have the cool sideburn tattoos, though. That's the only. That's the only
right.
thing this movie has against it. That either Blade
Two or
2
Trinity, we
and
don't
or
know.
Trinity.
Yeah.
Well, at least Trinity, maybe also 2.
And
Presumably.
there's this awesome aesthetic, and we talked about. Well, I mean, we talked about this in our
Yeah.
while we were watching. If we get enough subscribers on the YouTube channel, we'll start a Patreon. Send this to your friends,
Right.
and
Right.
when we
Yeah.
start a
Link this to your
Patreon,
friends.
we'll start doing movie commentaries of the movies we watch. Anyway,
Right.
there's this beautiful aesthetic, I think, that the '90s had for
There's
movies.
a specific '90s style that both of us just really love and connect to,
It was
despite
like
not being alive in this time period.
well, it was almost like shooting on film peaked.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
digital comes along, and then movies got ugly for a little bit.
They
Now they're
'cause-
better
well, 'cause they
looking
didn't.
again.
Yeah, well, they took some time to figure out how to shoot on digital, but this is the precipice
A
of
film,
filming on film. A film,
a
yeah.
film.
Kino,
Even
Kino.
like lower budget movies, because this movie didn't have a super crazy budget.
Right.
There's this grungy, dirty feeling to
Clerks,
everything.
1994.
Yes.
Super cheap film, shot in black and white film. Beautiful film
Same
aesthetic.
same aesthetic,
Just,
same
yeah.
idea. Ninja Turtles, 1990, same thing. It's a cheap,
Yeah.
low budget movie, but it's shot on film, and so it's got this beautiful feel to it. We watched one recently. Captain America, I think, has that feel.
Yeah, Captain America was 90, yeah.
But anyway, and this movie I think shows that, and then mixes it with the hilarious Matrix '90s stuff too.
Right, yeah.
The trench coats and the sunglasses and the rock music and the da 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 da.
The whole gothic aesthetic
Right,
shit.
goth
It's
people,
awesome.
which this
Love
movie
it.
invented.
This movie invented goth people.
But no, I would say 100% this movie's fun. I would also say that this movie holds up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like,
I think that whenever the Mahershala Ali Blade movie comes out, it will have to compete with this movie legitimately.
It's like it's the Spider-Man thing, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man some people say that the first Spider-Man movie doesn't hold up. I think it does, but we'll say Spider-Man
Yeah.
2, which everybody's in agreement that movie holds up.
Right.
Right.
Except for the silly scene where Doc Ock is robbing the bank with comical sacks filled with gold coins. That's just Sam Raimi silliness that doesn't really hold up.
Nah, it
Even
holds
at the
up,
time
for
it didn't
sure.
hold up.
Exactly,
But it's
that's the
awesome.
point.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Like even as much as I love the Tom Holland movies, I don't know that in 20 years they'll hold up as well as the Sam Raimi movies do.
Right.
I think this movie legitimately has some staying power to it. Like this movie does
Yeah.
not the only thing
No,
in the whole movie
this
that I
movie
watched and I was like,
is
that's super dated. Number one, the trench coats and the sunglasses, but that
sure, but
also kind
even
of
that is
translates.
that's just classic, you know? Like that's a classic cool guy look. Black trench coat, black sunglasses. That's classic. Postal dude. Neo from the Matrix. Other characters probably.
The thing that I think definitely the only scene I can think as I'm thinking through, okay, what dates this movie, is there's one scene where there's a VHS tape and I'm like, oh, there it is,
Right,
bam, it's
right.
the 90s. But other than that, this movie legitimately holds up in every way.
Yeah.
Other than the special effects, I forgot about the special effects.
Yeah,
This
the
whole
yeah.
conversation, I forgot about the special effects. They suck. They're horrible.
Well, for the most part, there are
There's a
some
few
good
good
ones. There's
practical effects.
yeah.
Anything CGI is horrible.
Right, yeah.
And then in the third
Um
movie, they have to CGI his
Yeah, in the
eyeballs.
third one, Wesley Snipes was just asleep while filming the entire movie. He didn't
Was
care
he asleep or
anymore.
did he just refuse to open his eyes?
Either way, he didn't care. He didn't
Right.
give a fuck anymore. He was done.
And the
But he
last
had
one,
cool sideburn
last question I
tattoos.
got,
So
and I think it's kind of a non-question because duh. Would you watch this movie again?
100%,
Absolutely.
probably within the year, I will watch this
Yeah.
movie again.
This one's it's a little different with this one cuz this one's on my regular like list of movies that I watch. I
Yeah, no,
watch Blade all the
I love
time.
Blade. Yeah,
I've never seen Blade the series.
no.
I'm not even convinced that I've seen the sequels to Blade.
I am convinced I've seen the sequels relatively recently within the past couple years, probably around COVID era, but
But yeah,
uh
I
big
love
big
this movie.
fan big fan of Blade 98.
I love
Awesome
Wesley
movie,
Snipes in
holds
this
up.
role. I
Would
love
recommend it to any and everyone. Um
anybody, and
except
this is probably
except my mother. She doesn't like bloody gore and stuff.
right,
But
right.
if you don't like bloody gore R-rated movie, you're obviously not gonna like this. But
Of all of the, because we've watched several for this, right? We've watched all of these pre '90s Marvel movies. So if you haven't seen any of the other
yeah,
ones, we watched Howard the Duck, we watched Captain
this
America, we watched
is
Fantastic Four.
this is the finale in our pre
I
2000s.
don't know that this is the one that I enjoyed the most. Okay,
Really?
I really
See,
liked
I'd say
Fantastic
it.
Four.
Fantastic Four. This one just hits kind of
This one's
different. I
better.
don't
Don't get
know.
me wrong. This is a better movie.
Absolutely. I do
This
think I
is the
enjoyed this more
one.
than Fantastic Four.
This is
But I
the
feel
one I
like
think I would recommend more for sure.
oh
Duh, of
oh
course. But
easily,
this
yeah.
is also the one that I think best encapsulates what a comic book movie can be when done
Well,
well.
the thing is, this movie, you can watch this movie legitimately as just a movie. You can watch it alone by yourself, just as an awesome movie. You can watch it with friends to have a fun time and laugh at silly stuff and Wesley Snipes' cool but stupid one-liners. It's got it all. Fantastic Four 94, I feel like doesn't quite like that's only you can only really watch
That's
that
true.
as a bad
It's only
movie.
a bad movie, sure.
Yeah.
I think this movie
With some cool ideas, admittedly. I won't say 94 is Fantastic 94 is just a bad movie because it does have some
there's
stuff
lots of
that's
movies
legitimate.
before the MCU that did a good job. The first two
Hmm.
X-Men movies,
Absolutely, yeah.
the first two Spider-Man movies.
I'd even say Spider-Man 3.
I
That
would
one
say
got
Spider-Man 3, but you know how people are, so
yeah, I know, but I stand with Spider-Man 3.
um we'll keep with first two just for
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah, for the aesthetic.
And outside of that, I think this is the only one you can really add to that list.
Probably also Blade 2. I'd say the first
I
two
don't remember.
Blade movies.
I don't remember anything about the second Blade movie. I just remember
Blade
people
2
talking
has
smack on it, talking wet on its name.
see, I only remember people talking wet on Trinity. I feel like Blade 2 is it's not held to the same standard as the first one, but I feel like it's on par, it's close enough. it's maybe a C plus. Well, this is like a A. You know, it's close enough. It's still a pass. It's still a passing grade. You know.
Chris Christopherson is 87 years old. By the way,
he's still kicking.
Still alive. Born in 1936.
Is Waylon Jennings still alive? I don't know which of the Highwaymen are still alive. Because it might just be Johnny Cash instead.
1937. Died February 13th, 2002. Waylon Jennings.
Okay, yeah.
Willie Nelson.
Willie
not
Nelson's
dead.
still kicking. Yeah, no, I knew that one.
He looks
he's
real
like,
bad.
Yeah, but he's like hanging out with Snoop Dogg and smoking weed and shit. They're just chilling, bro. He's chill.
But yeah, so Blade, I would definitely recommend it. I think you should go watch it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'd
where
also
it's
recommend.
streaming.
I'd recommend Postal 2, the video game. I wouldn't recommend Postal 3, but if you want to play a Postal game on your newer consoles, get Postal 4. It's apparently not as good. I haven't played it, but it's in my cart. I'm thinking about getting it. Just, you know, it's the Postal dude, you know?
Right. It's me.
And Running with Scissors said they love me. They love me. Some unpaid intern at indie game developers studio, Running with Scissors, loves me.
And don't forget to share this with your friends. Send this video out. All of those things.
We get enough shit going. We get enough shit popping. We'll do that Patreon. You can listen to our unhinged comments while we're watching these movies, and it will probably be more enjoyable than the actual podcast.
Probably. One of the things we want to do, we definitely want to do movie commentaries as part of the Patreon, but we just don't have enough interest in whatever. So
right, and also it just won't fly on YouTube.
Right, we can't post it publicly, or we would.
Yeah,
we tried live streaming it; it didn't work. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you've watched all the way through this, we will see you next time on Semi Pro.
Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
Next week we'll be back. We'll be kicking off a new sweep. I don't want to spoil too much for you. I don't want to spoil too much about what we're gonna be watching, but maybe
I don't even know what we're doing next week. Oh, right,
maybe like a little.
Right,
maybe like a little fire breathing action.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. It's more of like a nuclear breath. It's like if you like.
Oh, that was close.
Swallowed it. It's like if you swallowed a nuclear bomb. Dude, my cat is staring me down. This bitch is terrified of the noise